Hey guys, just got done with a tempering process. I did not videotape it. There really wasn't much to tape. I simply set my kitchen oven to about 400 degrees. And after cleaning the excess oil off the blade with a little soap and water and drying it off real good, I just set it on the middle oven rack. I let that cook for about an hour and a half at 400. That's Fahrenheit. And then after an hour and a half I shut it off, took the blade out and let it cool till I could handle it. And this is it. You may be able to see a slight straw color to the blade. I'm going to assume that's fine. We will know after we get the final edge on it and do a few tests. But after kind of researching a few websites and talking to some guys, it seems like 400 would be a good tempering temperature. So the only thing left to do now, we're going to take some sandpaper and just kind of hand rub this to a final finish using this technique. As you can see, it's already beginning to clean some of this oxidation off, and we'll get this to a nice polish. I will take the hollow grind and run that over the wheel with a very fine grit belt. I'll probably start with 220, and I do have another belt that I believe is roughly equivalent to about 500 or 600 grit. We'll see how the 220 does, but we'll just go ahead and run over every surface of this knife and get that to a polish. I'm going to start here with 150. I also have a couple packs of 220, 320, and 400. I get that in frame there. Nothing too fancy, just some regular aluminum oxide paper, I believe this is, and then some wet or dry. So we're going to continue just rubbing this back and forth in line with the blade. And that will continue to smooth this out. I got a couple little pits you may be able to see there. I don't know if those will come all the way out, but we're probably going to wrap this anyway. I'll try to get as much as I can out though. I'm not going to film this whole process as it's kind of boring, but you just kind of get an idea of how I'm going to do that, and then we'll have a nice parallel grain running along the knife, and then a contrasting perpendicular grain in the hollow grind there. So I apologize if I was out of frame for any of that. Alright, I think I will show a little bit of this. It's really no big deal. But one thing I did forget to mention, I went ahead and put a piece of flat glass down on my workbench. This tabletop is pretty smooth already, and probably flat enough for these purposes, but I just wanted to make sure we were as flat as possible. See a lot of the dark spots coming off on the paper. This is only aluminum oxide. It's not really made for grinding metal or anything, so I don't expect this 150 grit to last too long. I might oil the blade up a little bit with a wet or dry. Maybe that'll keep it cutting a little bit longer. But so far we're making a while. Flip it over, do the other side, and then do the edges and the contours as well. I may go ahead and use the grinder just to power through this a little better and a little faster while I'm doing the hollow grind, but you just want to make sure not to heat this up past your temper point. You don't want to draw your temper back out. Definitely no chance of that with hand sanding, unless maybe you're really going at it. But even then, I doubt you could draw the temper out. Biggest concern is with the power sander there. So we'll make sure to dip our blades and keep that cool. I may film a little bit of that, I may not. We'll see. But it's just a process. We'll continue working on this a little bit more, and hopefully get a nice finish that's a lot closer to the final product. Alright, continuing to make progress on the hand finishing here. I did go ahead and touch this up on my 8-inch contact wheel using a pretty high grip belt that I had. As you can see, polished that up pretty nice tight grain. There are a couple spots that I didn't really get, like towards the tip here. On and maybe just kind of give this a quick buff, and then if I happen to cross over into the opposing sanding lines, I'll just go ahead and run this back over a fine grit sand spots. Just kind of getting the worst of it out like this. And this seems to be working pretty well. Right now I'm not too concerned with the evenness of the sanding lines there, as I will straighten those out using this method on a lighter grit sandpaper and remove some of these other heavier lines. Still need to get inside the choils a little bit. I may go ahead and throw the small wheel attachment back on and get in that as much as I can. But so far I'm pleased with how this is coming out. Definitely getting close to the point at which I can go ahead and grind an edge on this. And then I'll probably use a combination of fine grit sandpaper, maybe a bench stone and a strop, just to get this as sharp as I can. Getting a phone call, so we're going to cut this off for now. Alright, I just want to show you where I'm at now. This is a combination of sanding by hand with 150 then 220, doing a little hollow grinding touch up with a much higher grit belt on my contact wheel, and then I went ahead and threw this on a buffing wheel as well, just to help kind of speed up the process a little bit. Ideally I would have a larger belt sander that I could really press this into the belt and flatten that out good. But right now my flat plate needs a little bit of adjusting, so I can't really use that at the moment. But anyway, this is it so far. Still might do a little bit of touch up on it, but as you can see it's got a pretty decent polish, all running in a rather straight grain, again with the contrasting grain of the hollow grind. Kind of like how that looks, makes the blade pop a little bit more. And same on the back. There are a couple of minor imperfections in the blade. You may notice that little half circle there, a little bit of pitting there, and some other minor circles on the blade here and there. I don't know if I could sand those out or not. I might work on that a little bit more. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to put that on hold so I can maybe get the handle wrapped to see what that looks like. I might go ahead and put an edge on it just so I can start seeing how well the heat treat went. And then I think the next step will then be to make the Kydex sheath for it and start getting that adjusted. So this knife's definitely on the last little run here. I think we've hopefully got all the hardest parts out of the way, and I think the next thing I want to do is go ahead and get the edge on it and get that nice and polished up and see how well that performs. So far I'm pretty happy, as this is only my first knife. Definitely see a little bit of room for improvement here and there. I might also finish it to a much higher polish before I heat treat it next time, see how well that works. But like I said, definitely pleased with what we have so far. The handle wrap will cover some of these imperfections. And I think we'll have a pretty decent little knife here for not a terrible amount of work. I've definitely had fun so far. Looking forward to putting the finishing touches on this. And that's that. So let's go ahead and continue here. I think I'm going to set up my flat platen and go ahead and try to get an edge on this real quick. And then we'll go ahead and work on that for a while. So let me get that set up. I'll move my camera and maybe I'll record some of that as well.